Hi. Hi, Bridey.
Oh, hi. How are you, Maureen?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Maureen Skowronek from the History Committee at the Irish American Home Society, and Bridey McSweegan.
Correct.
And she
you
is
say
from.
That very well.
Did I say that well? I've been practicing. She is from Tralee, County Kerry, and she came over, and we're going to have a chat about her coming over and her beginnings at the Irish American Home Society. She is a lifetime member.
I am.
And she has held many positions, secretary and assistant financial secretary. So she has been with the Irish American Home Society for a very long time.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a nice chat here in her beautiful home. And
thank you.
I'd like her to start by saying exactly what brought her here and her little travel here. And then we'll go into the beginnings of her visits to the Irish American Home Society.
Well, first of all, it was my sister Joan was the one that was supposed to come here. And while my mom was talking to Joan, Joan didn't want to come because she was in love with some young man. And she never married him. She married somebody else and had 8 children. So it was a happy, happy, happy time. I said, when Joan refused, I said, oh, I'll go. But in back of my mind, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to leave home. And then it gets too late to back out. Right, so all that time, I kept thinking, ooh, I'm going to have to leave home. But that went by very quickly. It was very sad leaving home. And the reason I did leave home was there wasn't that much work in Ireland at the time. And all my friends were going to England. And my mom didn't want us to go to England. And so she had a lot of sisters and brothers in the United States, and she thought it would be and that's who I was coming to. She knew I'd have somebody here, part of her family.
Right.
My Aunt Margaret and my Uncle Jerry were the ones that sponsored me and brought me here. And I'm so grateful to them for doing that, and I did have an opportunity to tell them that, which we'll get to.
Which is lovely.
But anyhow, I remember when I got to the United States, I was scared stiff. And my Aunt Margaret and my Uncle Jerry were absolutely wonderful. And so after it was a big responsibility for them. In order for me to come to the United States, I had to go to Dublin to the U.S. Not Congress, but
the U.S. Consulate.
The consulate. The United States American Embassy. I had to go there. And I had to go there for like a 3-day physical.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. And plus you had to stay up there as well. But anyhow, I said my rosary so I could pass my tests, and I did. And then when I finally left home to come here, it was around Christmas, and it was sad leaving home, but I've never really regretted coming to the United States, because working in different places like Connecticut General, where I started work, the opportunity to better yourself was there. And prior to my coming here, I happened to go to confession, and the priest for some reason recognized my voice.
Because confession at that time was behind
curtains. Yes, it was. And so he said, is this Bridget? I hear you're going to the United States. And I said, oh, yes, I am, Father. He said, now, when you get there, I want you to get a nice job doing housework, stay with that family, and save your money, and then you'll be able to come back to Ireland, and in other words, live happily ever after. Well, when I got to the United States, my Aunt Margaret had a whole different thing in mind for me. So she said, oh, there's no way you're going to do housework. She said, I've been doing that all my life, and it's hard work. And she said, you're a whole lot smarter than I was back then.
Wow, she was progressive.
Oh, she was. She
really
had a lot
of insight.
She did. She really did. So I said, okay. And she said, we'll try these insurance companies. And I said, okay. And the poor woman, she came with me to all my interviews and everything. She took me to Travelers. She took me to Connecticut General, which was down on Elm Street in Hartford. And then she took me to not Hartford Hospital, St. Francis Hospital. I don't know why she took me there. I'm not a doctor and nurse and head, but see, I just turned 17 that November, and I left home the 5th of December.
Oh my goodness.
So it was, and I think I had the mentality, because I had never been away from home. I must have had the mentality of a 12-year-old or 13-year-old.
Well, you had no clue what you were getting into. So
yeah, I had
just that apprehension. But then you probably grew with it.
I did. This is my home as far as I'm concerned.
Right,
and it gave me the opportunity to do so many things. And so anyhow, when I got here, I wasn't thinking about, what am I going to do? Where am I going to do? So my aunt did take me, like I said, to those 3 places. I got a call, that was on a Monday, and on a Wednesday night, I got a call from Connecticut General asking me if I could start work on a Wednesday. Excuse me. But I would have to take a physical. And I said, oh my God. I said,
3 days of physical.
I've been doing a physical for a month, at the embassy in Dublin. And they said, well, that's okay, it's company policy. So they hired me, and I started work the 5th. I got here the 5th of December. And I started work at Connecticut General January 5th.
Oh my goodness.
Which was just a month.
Right.
And it was around Christmas. So it was a very sad Christmas for me because I was away from everybody that I knew. I didn't know my Aunt Margaret. I didn't know Uncle Jerry. The only one I knew then was Mary Sayers Malarkey now.
Right.
So anyhow, once I got here, that wasn't the end of everything. For me, what they did was they gave me to come into the country. I had to have an alienation card. And then every January I had to go, and everybody else who came had to go to the post office. And then they would, I don't know what they did, but it was to let them know, yes, I'm still here. And it was a way for them to keep track of you. Which is a good way, and they've lost that completely.
Right.
So I said, okay, that's fine. So I would go every January and register with the post office. And so, that's how it went first. When I started at CG, I loved it. I really did. I was scared, but I loved it. And then one Saturday night, my aunt said, okay, Bridget, we're going to go to a dance tonight. And I said, I was all excited. And I said, where? And she said, the Irish American Home on Park Street. So I did. Excuse me. Now, I used to go to dances in Ireland, and they would bring bands from Dublin. They bring bands from all over Ireland that only played American music in the 50s.
And if you were 17, that's probably what you wanted to listen to.
And we'd go to all the dances. The dance halls were crowded, and we all loved to dance, and it was great. Elvis Presley was very popular at that time. But anyhow, I did go to the dance with my Aunt Margaret and Uncle Jerry, and we were sitting at the table, and there wasn't any American music. So I said to my aunt, when are we going to the dance? And she said, this is it, Bridget. And I said, oh.
A little bit surprised.
I know a lot of people probably be amazed at that.
Right.
But that's exactly what happened.
And the hall was small.
And the hall was a very small hall, and there were 3 or 4 people in the band, and they just played traditional Irish music, which is great because I knew how to do the jigs, the hornpipe, and everything, but I didn't know any set dancing.
Right.
The set dancing, like the Clare set and all of that, the Siege of Venice, the Waltz of Limerick. I didn't know how to do any of that. And that's what they were doing. But it's amazing how you grow to love it.
Yes.
That night, the only thing I saw was Peggy Malarkey, Joan Sheehan, and Noreen Martin were asked to get up and do the sailor's hornpipe, which I had never seen done. And so they did, and I thought it was wonderful. But again, it was the traditional violin and accordion and stuff
Traditional
like
Irish
that.
music.
And it was, yeah, the traditional Irish music. So, you know, I continued going to the dances on Saturday night because now I'm in an Irish club and I'm starting to feel more accepted.
Right.
Not accepted
like a
as
home
much as
away from home?
exactly,
Yeah.
because the people were so nice and everybody was asking me where I came from and how long I had been here. And so, like I said, Joan, she and they all ended up my friends.
Right.
And then when I went to work, I made friends at work, and the opportunities that were given to you were there if you wanted it.
If you wanted it.
Exactly. And that's what happened to me, actually. My aunt thought I should go to school, night school, and she did. She came with me, actually, on the bus to Hartford High School, night school, and she said, I think you'll go there. I don't think my aunt understood, but anyhow, because I was very good at English, she said, I want you to improve your English. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to school anyhow, and when I went to class that night, I was scared again because I knew no one. Apparently the class I went to was for Americans, people becoming American citizens.
Oh, okay.
And on the blackboard that stands out in my mind, they had the word criticism, but it was broken down into syllables. So the teacher said to me, can you read that? And I said, yes. And I told him, I said, well, it's criticism. And you have it broken down into syllables. And he said, what are you doing in this class? And I said, well, my aunt said I should go. I'm being very obedient. I went. And I never even stayed in that class because he said to me, can you type? And I said, no, I can't. And he said, well, I think that's what you should do. So he told me to go down to, I don't know where I went. He came with me and introduced me to the gentleman that was teaching the classes for typing. And I couldn't believe it because in my short time here, I knew this man, and his name was Tom Bowie, who apparently was someone that was...
He was the chairperson of the FESH,
Okay.
of the first FESH for many years.
Okay, see, I didn't know Tom Bowie. I didn't know anybody. So Tom was very, very good, and I did go to his class, and I did learn, and I bought my typing book. Every day back at Connecticut General, I would not go to lunch because I figured I'm going to do something for myself. So I would practice on the keyboard so I'd feel really good and get fast. I was very competitive, faster than everybody.
On the typewriter.
On the typewriter. And then, I don't want to carry on this, but I did take an exam. At work, my boss called me and he said, Bridget, you're interested in typing? He was a wonderful man. I could never call him John. I always called him Mr. Preston. So he said, I believe you like to type. And I said, yes, I do, but I don't know how. I'm learning. And he said, well, you're doing a good job. He said, would you like to take a test? And I said, okay. I'm not good at taking tests, especially if somebody's sitting looking
Right next to you.
So he said, okay, we'll set it up. And he did. And the gentleman was, Mr. Preston was the bigger boss. The gentleman that gave me the test was, like the second boss. And he said, okay, Bridget. So I took my test, I sat down. He came back to me, he said, you know what, Bridget, you typed every line twice. So apparently, I didn't pass the test. And I said, oh. And then I told him how scared I was.
Right.
I said, well, you were sitting on the desk watching me, and I don't do well with that. So he said, okay, he said, why don't you go back to the typewriter and start practicing again. I didn't know he was
still
timing
watching.
me.
Oh, he was timing.
And I was taking a test and didn't know it.
And you did well.
I did well, yeah, except I typed every line twice.
Oh.
But I went fast.
But you had that opportunity to
I
progress. You were
just-
motivated, and
I knew I
that's
wanted
right.
to do that. And anything in the office that I felt like I would never sit at my desk doing nothing.
Right.
I would always go. I just pushed myself. I would always go and say, is there something I can do? And Mr. Preston was another one. He said, my sister Mary then decided to come to this country. And I was her sponsor. And which was great. I sponsored her. And when she came here, Mary worked at Stop and Shop. Now, don't ask me where it was or what Mary did at the Stop and Shop. She may have been a meat cutter. She could have been anything. I don't know. But anyhow, he said, he said, I hear you have a sister. And I said, yes. And he said, why isn't she working at Connecticut General? And I said, because she has a job. So he said, well, if you bring her here, you get $20. They used to pay.
Oh my goodness.
But
they do that now.
Do that?
Sign
I didn't
on
know
bonus.
that.
They do.
Oh, I
But
didn't know that.
$20 now.
Oh my goodness,
it's a lot of money.
$20.
Yeah, now they give you like 1,000, 2,000.
Oh yeah, well, it wasn't like that. But anyhow,
isn't that wonderful?
yeah,
So
it
she
was.
went and worked it.
So Mary came. Yeah, she took time. I said to her, well, she's working, and he was very nice, and he just set it up for Mary to come in after she got out of work, and come in and interview at the personnel department, and Mary got a job at Cigna. And I was able to train her.
Oh,
you
wow,
know,
how
because
wonderful.
whatever I was doing, I was only filing in the mail, you know, within the office, and I was doing that. So I was able to train Mary, which was wonderful. And she ended up even with a better job in the end, you know, because she worked at it,
Right.
and I was working at mine. So we were doing well, and apparently they appreciated
They did,
us. You know,
yes.
they appreciated us. And it was wonderful. So I stayed at Connecticut General for 40 something.
Oh, my
When did I leave? In 82.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, in 82, I left Connecticut General, and I think it was 30 something years that I was there. And I loved it. And the only reason, I have to tell you something else. I told you about the priest said, you know,
Yes,
and then,
yeah.
I did. I told you,
Yes.
see, I love.
Yeah.
But
To
anyhow,
clean houses, right?
I know, clean houses. I never did that. My aunt wouldn't allow me to. So I did. My aunt would get on the bus in the morning and ride the bus to Connecticut General.
With you.
Because I had no sense of direction. I never rode a bus in my life until I came here.
Wow.
So, but things got, you know, really good. And I stayed at Connecticut General. I kept going to the Irish Club.
And you became very active in the Irish Club.
Oh, I
You were
did.
Secretary.
I did. I ended up being corresponding secretary, recording secretary. I never became president, or because this was later on in years you would do that type of thing. And I didn't have enough knowledge. But anyhow, I was secretary, corresponding secretary, recording secretary, membership secretary,
Oh my
assistant
goodness.
financial secretary.
Oh, so you
And I
really
would-
became quite active.
I thought I was pretty smart.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
At
But
that
you
time-
also, I understand from an article that I read, I don't know if you know this, but you were on the entertainment committee.
Yeah.
And there was something noted that entertainment will be from a singer, Bridey Lucet, tonight.
Oh my God, yeah.
So we're going to sing before we finish this
Oh,
little interview.
my voice is completely gone.
Well, that's okay. We'll
Yeah,
pretend
so,
anyway.
yeah, it's
But anyway,
completely
so
gone.
for many years, you met
So-
your husband there.
I did, and not only that, with the when they left Park Street, the Irish Club sold. No, they didn't. They only rented it, and they bought a place on Grove Street,
Right.
and it used to be a church. We had the best time in that church because now it's the Irish American Home,
And it was owned by
and
a
it was
society.
owned by them. So they were doing very good. I think it's a great thing to be able to do that as a group of people before me, you know, started this, knew it was needed.
Right, that
you
was
know.
insight into the future
Yeah,
and what
it
we
was.
would need to, number one,
I say
expand
God
the
bless
culture.
them, yeah,
right?
because I still have friends. And the thing about it was not only did Hartford have an Irish club, and nobody in the beginning, when they moved to Grove Street, it was fine, but when they decided to move to
Glastonbury.
Glastonbury, how are we going to get there? None of us drive, you know. But it's amazing, if you want to get someplace, you'll go there
Right.
and do it.
And look at the
just to get
facility
there.
that's in Glastonbury
Oh,
now.
God,
The
yeah.
field that they allow so many sports teams come.
It's wonderful, it really is. And it's always been my home away from home. And not only me, but a lot of other young Irish people that
So many
came to
people,
this
so many
country.
Irish
Oh, my
say a
God.
home away from home. That's
Yeah.
how they classify
It
it.
is, and not only that, do you know how many families have
Exactly.
started by just people meeting their husbands or their,
Right, right.
you know, their fiancé
And then
or
their
whatever.
children, the
And
culture
their
continues,
culture
their children.
continues, exactly.
Because some of the people, Margaret Sayers, no, it wasn't Margaret Sayers,
Peggy, Mary,
Mary Sears.
yeah?
And I know her niece.
Oh, okay.
That's Mary Sears as well, right? So she was Mary Sayers. Is she related
Mary
to Peggy Sayers? Mary Sayers,
Mary Peggy's-
Malarkey?
Mary Malarkey, Peggy Sayers would be Mary's sister-in-law.
Oh, sister-in-law. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So I know their children.
Yeah, do
Right.
you?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And Tom Bowie, you mentioned.
I mentioned Tom
We danced
Bowie.
with their children.
Yeah, oh my God.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
a wonderful
I had a
thing.
picture too I took. I have to get it there to show to you. But anyhow, then like I said, my sister, with the Irish club, they'd have football games,
Right.
hurling games. They'd have a lot of things. There was entertainment on a Saturday night. And then what they started when we finally came to Glastonbury, that was another thing I did. I made a sign when they were moving to Glastonbury, and they were going after a permit to sell
Okay.
liquor, so I made that big sign. There's a picture of it someplace.
Oh, I'll have
So
to
I
look.
made
for
that
Little
sign.
Mice. Yes.
Yeah. Tom Follen used to have it, I think. I don't know if he
Yeah,
has it now.
Tom Tolan. He was
Yeah,
the
Tom.
he was the protege
president.
at that time.
Oh, was
he was
he?
president,
Yeah.
I think, at Grove Street, and it
Yeah.
was Jack O'Keefe that was
Okay,
president
I remember
in
Jack.
Glastonbury.
Yeah, yeah.
But wonderful times, and
It's great. But anyhow, because the Irish club, when they moved to Glastonbury, you had teams coming out from Ireland. And naturally, like when they came out to New York, they were still going to a field that
Right.
was rented.
that was rented.
They didn't
So-
have their own club.
Yes.
So they were awed by the fact that, oh my God, you've got your own club,
Yeah.
your own shower in the club, and then they
Right.
could shower after
Right.
the games. And so that was a big thing to them. A lot of them today have built their own clubs in Ireland in the different sections.
Okay.
Like you'd have competition between the different towns and the different,
Right, the different
you know,
counties.
Exactly, and
Yes.
they'd play football.
Right.
But yet, those fields were also rented.
Well,
So
I think
now-
it was John Droney, after speaking with him, I think he said the purchase of the Grove Street building was the third building in the country
I
that
believe
was
that.
owned
Yeah, I
by an
believe
Irish
that.
American society.
Mm.
Because all the rest were
yeah.
rented.
Yeah, they were.
But
And-
there was great insight. There was progression with the people that belong there.
Yeah, but not only that, they, again, they helped each other. On a Sunday night, we looked forward to Sunday nights, even though the music was still the same. It was just, you did the sets and you had fun. And now, see, I knew how to do these
that,
sets.
so
So
it was fun.
you'd have a group come down from Massachusetts, you'd have a group from New Haven, and, you know, they supported each other. And that's how you get to know a lot of people
Right.
from the other clubs. And it was just a fun time.
Fun time.
And if you
That's-
wanted to go someplace, there was also a group that would be going someplace, and they said, well, we're going, you know, would you like to go? And we'd say, yes.
Right.
You know,
And everyone
we had
went
no
together.
commitments to any one person.
Right.
At that time, we were just there working, making friends, and as young people, we
Right.
were enjoying ourselves as well. And it was fun. It was fun. But
And Bridey is also established artist.
oh,
She
thank you.
does oils and
Yeah, and acrylic.
acrylics.
Yeah, but I'm not too good at. I'm still learning the acrylics because it's a different method. The medium that you use, it's different
Than the oils.
than
But
the
she does beautiful
than
work.
the acrylics. Acrylic is easier and it's cleaner.
Oh, than the oils.
It's
I can
cleaner
imagine.
than oils.
Yeah.
But I've started both. Actually, I'm working on one downstairs. I was working on it before you came. I have trouble, a little bit of trouble, but I'll get it finished.
Oh, but they're beautiful,
Oh,
beautiful
thank you.
work. And she also made a record. I mean,
Oh.
here I am sitting with an artist here. So before we go,
You didn't know that.
Yeah,
did
I
you?
didn't know that, right? I did know that, though. But before we go, why don't we sing? What was your favorite one? I think you told me "Come Down the Mountain."
That wasn't my favorite song.
What was your favorite one?
God, there was a lot of them. Please don't ask me to sing.
We'll sing something. We'll sing even if it's whatever. Come down the mountain, Katie Daly. Katie
Katie Daly.
Right?
Do you know that one?
I know a
What
little bit
other
of
songs do
it.
you know?
I know a lot of stuff.
Oh God, you put me in a
Well,
spot.
we'll do Katie Daly.
I don't know Katie Daly.
Come down the mountain. I know. Well, we can do a little bit of it.
Well, her old man Teddy came from Tipperary in the pioneers of 1942. I told you I didn't sing. See? New York City. That's a la song.
Come down the
The
mountain,
mountain Katie Daly.
come down the mountain, Katie do.
Can you hear me calling Katie Daly? They're going
Katie Jude.
They're probably thinking, and they danced to that.
Oh, Bridey, it's been wonderful. Our second go at this. Give me a big hug, my friend.
Oh, and you know who
So
was
nice.
blessed about this? My sister was able to come marry. She joined the Irish Club.
Right.
My mom came to this country and lived with us.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, and she passed away in this country, but we were able to take her back to Ireland
Oh, nice.
to be buried with my father.
Oh, lovely. And I
So-
know when your aunt and uncle passed away,
Oh, yeah.
you lived with Tom and Marge Coppinger.
Coppinger, they were,
And
oh my
they
God,
were
they were
very
wonderful
active
people. Oh, they
in
were
the Irish
yeah,
American
they
Home
were
Society.
wonderful people. See, that's how I met Don. I wasn't going to the dance
Dance.
that night, but because my mom had passed. And Mrs. Coppinger said, "You're coming to the dance with me tonight." And I said, with both of them. And I said, "No." I said, I won't be dancing. However, I take the tickets at the door. And there was a big band in from New York that night. And it was hard to sit at the door with this big band playing. But anyhow, that's when Don and his two friends came in. They had heard about the dance. And so he wanted to, they were dressed very casual. So they wanted to know, the three of them wanted to know if they could come in because they didn't have shirt and tie. They just had casual clothes. They actually looked very nice, but they weren't dressed like they were supposed to be. So Mary Shea, you know Mary?
I know Mary Shea.
Yeah,
I sang
Mary-
with her choral group.
Oh, the choral group, okay. But anyhow, Mary Shea was sitting at the front door with me, and she said, "You know, you can come in this time." Mary was very good-natured, and she said, "Oh, yes, you can come in, you know." And I said, "But we really don't like to make a habit of it because you have to wear a shirt and tie." And so Don stood back and he said, "Who does she think she is? Giving orders, and I'm only there for the night." But that's how I met Don,
Yeah.
and he asked me to dance, and we've been dancing ever since.
Isn't that
But
wonderful?
yeah, and I did enjoy when my sister came because she came to work at Cigna as well.
Right.
And my sister Joan she was the one that was supposed to come. She was too busy having children.
Yeah,
She ended
8
up
children.
having 7.
Oh, 7
She
children.
had 8, yeah, right, she
Yeah.
had 8 and one died.
Yeah.
But other than that, Joan ended up really well in Ireland herself because she and her husband opened up a store.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they did very well, sent all their kids to college.
Wow, very good.
You know, so things were getting better in Ireland, and they are today.
They are today.
They are today. It's amazing the education the kids have in Ireland today, and it's just a wonderful thing that it's like that because
is,
they're
it is.
doing wonderful work.
Right.
You know,
A
that
lot
we
of them
never
come
had
over,
that
right,
happen.
They come over and
Oh,
work
my
for
God.
American companies or
Yes.
American companies over there. It
My
has really-
nephew is working for Google, and he just got a big promotion. We just heard on Facebook. So, and they're very good to the Irish people and for their employees. Very, very good. what they do for those young kids. When they're going, whatever they do, they stay in the biggest hotels. It's amazing. It's amazing what they do for them.
The experiences they have.
The experience is there, but the kids are very capable of doing that work because they're introduced to it now in the early age, like here.
Right.
You know, the kids. I'm not too well when it comes to all that electronics.
Either am I. We know that, don't we, Bridey?
Oh, you did a beautiful job, Maureen.
But anyways, thank you for inviting me to your home.
You're
and,
very welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't sing with you, but
Well,
I
we
have
sang.
lost
We
my
sang.
voice.
We hummed
did.
and-
We did.
But anyways, thanks so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I
Thank
love
you.
You take care. You're a lovely, lovely person.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Maureen Skowronek from the History Committee here at the Irish American Home Society, and I am sitting with John and Mary Gorman, who are also part of the History Committee, and they have immigrated from Ireland some years ago. John was from County Mayo, and Mary was from County Clare, and I can almost put a guess that maybe they met here at the club, but we will wait to hear that story. But anyways, they are both lifetime members of the Irish American Home Society. Mary has volunteered many services throughout the years. John is a past president. He was also a board member. He also was in charge of the festival when it first began. So anyways, as we sit here and have a chat, I would just like to just listen to your story of what brought you here to America and how you first became involved in the Irish American Home.
So it starts, okay, I came to with my aunt in New York and I stayed there for a week and then I came up with a cousin in East Hartford and stayed with her for 3 years. Then I met John at the Irish American Home, the old Irish American Home in Hartford. And we dated for about a year and then we went back to Ireland and we got married in Ireland at the old Round Hotel.
Oh,
And
Ennis Island.
Yeah, City. And then we came back here and
Became very involved.
Yes.
Did many volunteer
Oh,
services.
absolutely, yes.
And John, when did you become president, or were you on the board or in a different position before being president, or what brought you involved with the board or the president or the politics of the Irish American Home Society?
Yeah. Well, I came here in 1959, Thanksgiving Day of 1959 to be exact. I had my first turkey here. Came to New York, and I lived in Rockville, Connecticut. My aunt owned a hotel in Rockville. And we came there, I stayed with her for about a year and a half. And I met Mary at the Irish American Home on Grove Street.
On Grove Street.
yes, yes.
1962, February 1962. She had just came back from Ireland after her father passed away. And I met her there and asked her if I could take her home, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. I thought there was a connection.
We went back to Ireland for a vacation. Summer of 1963, we got married back there on October 24th. We just had our anniversary this week. And 58 years
Oh
married.
my goodness, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we came back here, and we lived in Andover for a while, and then I was involved in the Irish Club. It opened here in 1967, and I worked for the NCR company, and I was traveling around, and I always came over here to view the land, check on the process that the club was going through. Jimmy Golden, I knew him very well, and he was a builder. He was here all the time, and we became friends. And he told me what was going on, and then of course the field was being constructed. And in 1966 we had our first child, which was a boy. We used to bring him down here all the time, let him run around on the field, what was the best we had. And Dave McLean kept leveling it out and kept making it bigger and better. And then we started a minor. Jack Griffin was the one that started the minor football league in '74. And I became involved in that. That was my first involvement with the sports and politics of the Irish Club. I became president of the minor football league, and I was president for 10 years, which culminated in a trip to Ireland. We took 23, 14-year-old boys on a trip to Ireland. We played 6 games, which was all organized. They stayed with host families over there, and they really enjoyed it. Now all these young people have grown up, have families of their own, and most of them are coming down here that are still in the area, coming down here, and they love it. So that was my first involvement. In 1983, which is when we went to Ireland, Mike Connolly was president, and he asked me if I would start the Irish Festival here, because Holyoke had the most successful one around here at the time. Dan Tierney was the organizer of it, who I knew, and Mary and I went up and talked to him, and we traveled around to many festivals to find out what they were doing and how they did it, and we wrote down and kept track of the systems they had. Everyone had a little different idea. But Dan, I think, in Holyoke had the best and biggest one. So we took his ideas, and in 1984 we started the first Irish Festival, which was very successful. Even though we didn't have much money to start off with. The first year we made $20,800 in profit. That started a whole string. For the next 25 years we probably averaged $40,000 a year in profit every year. I was the chairman for the first 5 years. And
then I understand, excuse me for interrupting, I think I read in an article that it was maybe the second or the third festival where this became known as the largest in New England. Is that right, John?
That's right.
Became very successful, and so that was your hard work and planning.
Well, the fact that we had our own grounds was a big advantage, because a lot of the other festivals, they were either renting or leasing or using other people's property, where we had our own property.
And that's an interesting thing that you bring up about rental properties, because other people that I have spoken to, they said even for the football, other clubs rented, and so they were quite amazed with the Irish American Home Society. So it was really great insight into those that had the planning and the insight to say, look, and I've read a lot of articles that we used to run places, so I'm saying to myself, of course it was great insight to become more profitable using your own land for the,
It was a big move when we moved over here from Wall Street. And it was a tough move for some of the older folks, because a lot of them didn't drive and needed a bus line. Once they came over here, they always got somebody to take them here, and they really enjoyed their trip over here and walking around the property and seeing it. They couldn't believe that it was turned out so nice and it was so well designed by Jimmy Golden. Yeah.
Right, and it was really done by most volunteers.
Right. All volunteers. Yeah.
And I know the mortgage was like $25,000. But if I read right, I think the mortgage was, I don't know if they used the down payment from the sale of Grove Street, because I thought the mortgage was obtained after the club opened, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, it was, because we had some money from Grove Street, so we did need some more money. John Malarkey was very instrumental in getting the mortgage from Mahoney, and how to work the system. He did a great job in getting the money. Actually, after the festival was successful, we paid the balance of our mortgage in 1988 for Dunning was president at the time, and we had a party here burning the mortgage.
That's wonderful.
1988.
It's wonderful that you know the dates.
Right.
Because as we were sitting here trying to capture all this history, and the names that you mentioned, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Then I became president in 1988. In October of 1988, I was president of 88, 90, and 88, 89, and 90.
And then, how did you transfer any of your thought process for being president, or your moving on, your innovation for where we would go? Who became president after you?
Well, Tom Stanton was the vice president when I was president. Next, eventually, Tom became president on the board of directors. I was chairman of the board for 3 years, 1993, I think. The festival was really going good that time, and that's what was really driving the problem. We put a lot of improvements, not only into the club, to the building itself at the time. We did a lot of remodeling down here. We put them front stairways in. That's when they went in.
And speaking of the front stairways, I was also told that when the club was being built, or maybe it was when the stairs were put in, that people put either a pair of rosary beads or a holy picture into the cornerstone.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a
Yes.
Jimmy Golden was very instrumental in that because he believed in all that stuff.
Such a wonderful thing, wonderful thing. So,
Then when John was president, that's when I really got involved. I put on some friends, we put on fashion shows, Silver Tea.
Eileen,
Yes.
I read.
No, actually, Steph Colleen was for the club.
Okay.
And we put on Life of Riley came off and demonstrated all her nice wares. And we had it was two we had several dinner deals, like Christmas and New Year's. And then when the 50th came,
The 50th anniversary of the club. I heard it was a big shindig.
Yes, it was.
What do you want to tell us about the black tie, right?
I said, everybody said, Mary, you're absolutely crazy. Nobody's going to come and get a tuxedo. I said, well, it's going to be optional. Well, the majority of the people came to the tux. It was so wonderful. We had the hall set up upstairs, really nice. And we also had as you enter the club, we had a table out there, tent actually out there with drinks and hors d'oeuvres. So people were really so excited with so many nice letters.
Yeah, we have letters here,
Yeah.
pictures. So you were the chairperson of that?
Yes, yes.
So Mary was the chairperson, and many people have told me that was one thing that they can remember from all these years ago.
Yes, yes.
And I really think that we should have a similar thing again.
I think it would be
Right? I think it'd be great.
We had, then we decided that we should have Friday night would be for the young crowd. And Bernie Pope, she was chairman of that dance. So she put that on Friday night. Then we had the dance on Saturday, the dinner dance on Saturday. And then Sunday we had a mass down here. And John Harrington was president. And we had a huge crowd down here for the mass. And everybody really had a wonderful weekend.
Beautiful,
Yes, yeah.
beautiful. And it's nice that they host mass here.
Yes.
I know at the meetings, they start the meeting and end the meeting with a prayer to this day.
Right.
And that started, I do have a little booklet of the bylaws from 1945.
Yeah.
And that is in the bylaws, that you start the meeting and end the meeting with a prayer.
Yes.
And really, I mean, the Irish have such support for the Catholicism or the Catholic Church.
Absolutely,
And,
yes.
so it's nice that that is continued as well. And to this day, we have a mass just recently for the people that passed during COVID.
Right.
And all of that is so important. It's so important with the culture. So the culture is the football, the singing, the dancing, so many other things, but it's also the religion.
Right, yes, yes.
And it was a safe beginning and an ending to the meetings too, yes. Always a lot of controversy, but it always worked out, and it was always worked out within the building.
Right, and
Through
that's
conversation and
important.
negotiation,
Right, yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The conversation and negotiation.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it successful
It
today.
makes it work,
Exactly.
right, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Successful today.
You may have a big disagreement, at the meeting about something, but we would always separate and talk, discuss it and talk about it, and it would always be resolved.
Very good. So anyways, here we are, and okay, John and Mary still volunteering at the club, and you have 2 sons? 3 sons. And so they have supported the Irish American Home Society as well. And that's where our culture continues to thrive.
Right.
Through the children, the grandchildren.
Exactly.
And it's been a wonderful go for me, wonderful road for me. For some reason, I just think I'm being Irish American. I think I have that Irish in my blood. I don't know where it is.
Your mom was from there.
But she was. That's how I know the Ground Hotel, right? Which is still open today.
Absolutely.
Spent enough time here, Maureen.
Yes, yeah.
But it's been wonderful. Is there anything else that we should kind of talk about?
Just one more thing, they had a dance upstairs last Saturday night
Yes.
for the club. And there was maybe about 30 kids from 25 to 30 young. Yes, they play hurling and some girls. And they said that they just could not believe that this place was so welcoming. And they're all different parts, most of them from Ireland. And they were just so excited to be able to come to a place like this and welcome to you.
So nice.
Yes.
And as you say that, Mary, a couple of things I want to add to that. Our son's girlfriend, she plays camogie with the team up in Boston.
Oh, very good.
And so she did play here about a month ago. I think it was about a month ago.
Yeah.
And she played the girls from New York, which, as you said,
Yes,
were from
yeah.
Ireland. And she also plays Irish football. She used to live in New York, so she played for the New York teams.
Wonderful.
And she was on their All-Star team. And so she went to Ireland at one point and played in she played the Irish football. So anyways, here we go. The camogie had, my sister played many years ago, and that was before we had the Browns. And we went to Gillen in New York.
Yes, yeah.
And so now camogie has come up. And speaking of something that has kind of diminished and come back, is the junior football.
That's right.
So it was what, Stephen Meskel that restarted it. So there was a little lull in that, John?
There was,
Yes,
for a
yeah.
few years, Yeah, we had the height of it here in the 1980s, or 70s, and late 70s and 80s. We had 5 teams. We had 11 teams throughout between Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York. We had 11 teams that we used to play back and forth. We were always traveling. It seemed like when they came here, it was always so successful. Because we used to have the grill out here. We had volunteers that would cook hamburgers and hot dogs.
So well
And
done.
they were so appreciative of the fact that they traveled and they could have a hamburger or a hot dog out here and come here and have a drink. Meet a lot of friends from their hometowns and stuff like that. So I think that started the whole thing off. So we had 5 teams, and I think now they're up to 4 teams here.
Okay.
Of different age groups, which is
It's
good.
wonderful to see.
Big
Yes,
comeback,
it is.
yeah.
Big comeback. Wonderful.
That's
That's
what
strong.
club needs, culture and stuff like that, to bring the kids down here. They come down here, they get familiar with it, meet friends, who are going to come back. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and all I can say at this point is up Mayo and up Claire, right? That's all I can say, right?
We'll drink to that point.
Exactly. The Rangers.
Oh, for next year, we're like the Red Sox.
Yeah.
The fire up.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you,
It's
Maureen.
been a pleasure.
Thank you for doing this. Yes, I know how hard you're working.
We're getting there. We're
Yes.
getting there. It's
Yeah.
with the contribution of everyone.
Thank you, Maureen.
All right, thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Eileen McCormick, and I'm here with my friend Pat Mahoney. We're down at the Irish Club on Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. And we're doing a little interview for the Historical Committee, just talking about different members who've been members down here at the Irish Club. So Pat, what are your memories of leaving Ireland?
Well, I was left out in 1956. I was 20 years old. Got a ride to Cove, Cork, and got a bed and breakfast. And the lady got me up in the morning and she said, "You're going on the boat." So I went on this boat. I thought it was the one coming to America, but it was just a tender going out to the big boat. So we got on there. I got a friend that he was from Roscommon. So we got lost. This thing was like a city. So anyway, we found it, and from that on, we had a great time on the boat. We had dances at night, and then I got to America, got off the boat, and I said, "Oh my God, this is America," So this guy approached me, and he said, "Hey, you," he said, "Are you lost?" So I looked at him and I said, "You're my uncle." He couldn't believe it, 'cause I never saw him before. And then my brother saw we were coming home, and not as much traffic as now naturally, but my brother had, I think he had recaps on the snow tires at the time that started to come off, so I pulled over. So this cop pulled up, state trooper, and I was so impressed with the state trooper's uniform that I said, "Oh my God," it was still in my memory, how great it was, So then I came, stayed with my uncle and aunt, and Danny Foley, we're related through marriage, and he said, "Well, I'm going to go to the Irish Club, you want to come?" I said, "Of course," but I didn't have a car. So, but then, after I started working with this Irishman from County Mayo, John Burke, worked in construction for a couple of years, did carpenter work, painting, everything. So then...
I know you became a painter. Is that how you learned
your trade? Well, I did in the old country. So,
okay.
But I did carpenter work too, so not like as good as here. But, and then we ran out of work, that was it. And then I got a job. I met this guy down here, of course, from Pat Kennedy. And he said, "Why don't you get a job in the Walmart with me?" No, I said, "I don't know, can I do that kind of stuff?" So of course I said. So I went in, right off the bat. I knew Pat, that was it. And I was there for 9 years.
Wow.
I stayed in that job. And then I finally got West Hartford, public schools. That was the end of my career. So,
or the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning, yeah. So, but my involvement was in that with the club all along from when I first came here. But it's getting involved with the kids playing football. We used to have a stand. Your mother and my father. We had hot dogs and hamburgers for the kids and the parents. Now we just did that over volunteers. So. And we used to do that all the time. And then,
so let me just ask you, where was the first Irish club that you joined?
Grove Street in Hartford.
Yeah.
That was small.
Yeah.
The three floors.
Yeah.
Small dance hall. Yeah. So,
and how would you get there when you went? Did you take the bus down, or did you catch rides with friends?
No, I usually get a ride with Danny Foley. Yeah, he'd give me a ride. But then.
And then you met your wife?
Couple of years I got a car, so then I was kind of
a free bird.
But we used to go to Waterbury, to the Irish Club in Waterbury, and that's where I met my wife. And of course she brought me home to meet her father. And I was scared, She looks me up and down and says, "Yeah, it's okay."
And what year did you get married?
I got married in 1964. Bought my first house in East Hartford. And we were there for 20 years. My kids were born there. Then my father-in-law passed away, and then my mother-in-law was alone. So we took her in, and she stayed with us for 8 years, and she passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, so I love her. She was a great lady.
And then when was your first trip back to Ireland?
My first trip back was in 1970.
Wow. So that was the first time your wife met your family?
No.
Oh, no.
I was single. I was single then, 1970.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, was it 60? Yeah, 1970 was my first trip back.
Okay.
And then well, you know, I went back, I think, one more time. I went back with my wife, yeah, after we came married.
Uh-huh.
Mike was born, so he stayed with my mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back. I went back to what? I went back after again with my son and my brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but my wife had a great time. She loved everybody. She was great.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And so just tell us some of the things that you were involved in down at the Irish Club, like different activities, different, you know, board of directors, things like that.
I was on the board of directors, I was on the house committee, no, the house,
Building.
the building committee, yeah. There's still a lot of stuff. To help PJ Cheney every Monday night, we'd come down, we'd clean, because everybody smoked and we'd clean everything down and then painting anything that had to be done, I did it. And, I never charged them for anything, it's just the material.
Good volunteer job, right?
Yeah, it was good. And then I got involved with cooking down here and retirees dinner, that's the thing we started. And of course they do the card game.
And that's been going all along, you're still running that, right?
This is my home away from home, I love the club. And my favorite thing, like I said before, was our 50th anniversary of the club. It was a black tie affair. I was so proud, it was the best. It was so nice. I'll have to show you pictures.
Yeah, it was a sellout.
Yeah.
One thing I think that was interesting, you mentioned when you were on the board of directors about the air conditioning.
Oh yeah,
how it lasted.
Yeah, that's when we put a new air conditioner in, and we had to have it out for bids and all this stuff, and of course, but we got it done.
Yep.
Yeah, and it lasted 40 years.
Right, just replaced again this summer, right?
Just replaced it now, so, wow, I'm still around. Yeah.
To enjoy the cool air.
Yeah, but oh yeah, it was a great run.
Yep, yep.
Great
And you've
run.
done so much down here, you've been so
I
involved.
love this place. This is, and all the nice people I met. I mean, you know,
It's wonderful.
I met some wonderful people here. Wonderful people.
Great.
Great friends.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Maureen, and we are in Ocean Ave in New London, and I am sitting with Eileen Maloney, and we are just having a conversation about the history of the Irish American Home Society. And she was an immigrant from County Roscommon, and she came in 1954. And so it's so nice of you to have me in this beautiful home you have here. And this is kind of like a little nook, like we were in Ireland.
Yes, yes.
And so as we talk, I'd like to know what brought you over here, how the ride was in the boat, where you went, and your beginnings of the Irish American Home Society.
Okay, good. Thanks, Maureen. This is lovely. And we already had our brown bread and tea and marmalade. So
Yes, we did. And delicious. She has a delicious recipe.
no recipe, fistfuls and bread, spoonfuls. But anyway, I immigrated. I came to America in November. I arrived in New York on November 11th, 1954. And I add there, that was the official closing date of Ellis Island. It had been closed for maybe a year before, but that was the official date, November 11th, 1954. So I arrived at some port in New York, and on a Friday in November, cold, dark evening. My aunt, who from the north end of Hartford, Eileen, had a sponsor to me. In those days, you had to be sponsored by somebody, and she met me in New York. Now, she was a woman who seemed never progressed with Ireland or America. So I knew nothing about New York, and Aunt Eileen seemed to know less. So anyway, she met me, and somehow we made our way back on the train to Hartford. So when we got to Hartford, it was around 9:30 at night, and a dark evening, and the buses had stopped running. The buses, to take her up to the North End, that's how she had planned on us getting home. So she was a woman who had no qualms and never afraid to ask anything or do anything. So we were standing outside the railroad station in Hartford, and so when the light changed, when the first car that stopped by, Aunt Eileen knocked at the window and says, "Oh, my niece is here from Ireland, and the buses have stopped running, so could you give us a ride up to Clark Street up in Hartford?" So that was my introduction to the United States.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very different from what I'd seen. But then I went to 75 Clark Street, and Eileen, she had 7 children. They were all younger than me. I was 19. I would be 20 the following month in December. I was 19, and they were all younger than me. So, kind of a chaotic house. So, it was very different from what my vision of America was, you know, from the movies and different things. And
Exactly.
exactly. And from the home I came from. I came from a very orderly home, you know, and very organized and very progressive parents. We were raised on a small farm in County Roscommon, about 6 miles outside, on the Roscommon side of Ballinasloe. So I was privileged to go to high school, to a boarding school. My mother, I don't know, I often wonder, and I was talking to Maureen about that, how from that era, how they did what they did, or how they connected, or how they made, I don't know. But anyway, I went to boarding school and graduated from St. Raphael's in Loughrea. And I got a job with the civil service in Dublin, which was very nice job, you know.
Very progressive.
Progressive,
Yeah.
exactly, because some kids went to secondary school then, but usually they cycled, you know. They were the boarders. But, so I was privileged to do that, as did other of my sisters, you know, got the same privilege. So anyway, I had a nice little job in Dublin, and I was what they call a telephonist. I worked for the Department of Post and Telegraphs at the GPO in O'Connell Street in Dublin. But anyway, I was there for about 2 years. But I had a boyfriend, you know, I was sent down to Ballinasloe to fill in, you know, during summer time. And I met this man. And boyfriend, so I was with him for about a year, dating, and then he was immigrating, he was coming to Boston. So he came to Boston, so I took a fit and said, well, maybe I'll go to America too, just like that.
Oh, how interesting.
But it wasn't unusual in those years for young people, as you know, to go to America.
That's
to
right.
immigrate. It wasn't unusual. But I really had no need. I had a nice job. I had an education, you know. But anyway, I thought I'd go. So I wrote to my Aunt Eileen, and we started the process. So anyway, I ended up here. Yeah. So my aunt, being progressive too, you know, we weren't going to hang around. The day after I came, you know, she was downtown to look for a job.
Oh.
So I went to the telephone company first because I was a telephonist. You don't hear that word. There's no such thing anymore. You see it in the movies, you know, where you're plugging all those things, you know. But anyway, I got a job with the Trappers.
Okay, very good.
A lot of Irish people worked there because, I don't know, they just say that they met them, the Trappers met them off the boat, you know. So, so that was good. That was very, very nice. And then within the first week or so, my aunt again, there's a firehouse up on Clark Street in Hartford, and she knew there was some Irish guys working there, so she went and asked if some of them could take her niece, who just came from Ireland, to the Irish Club. So
And that's where
it started. That's where it started. Down to the Irish Club. I might mention now too that in Ireland we had at that time, there was the big band era with beautiful ballrooms in Dublin, and that's understandable. But in every region in Ireland, in parishes, we had beautiful halls and we had big bands, you know, with beautiful music and just nice halls and nicely decorated and stuff like that. And I was used to that kind of thing, you know. And we had carnivals. Some of you come from my era, I remember the carnival in Ireland, or the big tent and the big band. So we had lots of dancing, and good music. But anyway, I got to the Lyric Hall, you know.
And the Lyric Hall's on Park Street.
Park Street in Hartford, the corner of Broad and Park. Now you went to the 3rd floor, that's where the hall was. On the 2nd floor, I think it was on the 2nd or 1st, there was a bar. So I went to the Lyric Hall, I just couldn't believe it when I was taken to that hall. Somebody from, I don't remember who exactly took me to that, but I know that the first 2 men's name I remember from that era is Jimmy Droney and Pat Keane. Yeah, that's how I remember, yeah. So when I went to the Irish Club, and I said, oh my God, this is the dance hall? There was small, there was Johnny Keane, who played the fiddle, and Larry Moran. I think that was, and I don't know who was on the drums. Really, there wasn't even. So this was the extent of the music, you know. Right. But beautiful music, yeah. So we went to the dancing, and then the bar closed at 9 o'clock, I think, or 9:30 or something. And then the guys, we were all upstairs at the dance. It must be the women and the teetotalers, you know, were the ones who danced. But then all the drinkers would be at the bar. But at 9:30 they would all come up, the men. So that's how I met Richard Maloney. I mean, maybe a couple of months into the thing, he asked me to dance. So he was a lovely dancer, and I love dancing myself. So yeah, so that's how I met Richard Maloney.
Okay,
So
very good.
that was in 1954. That was 1955 probably. Yeah, yeah. We got engaged in 1956, and I got married in 1957. But in the meantime, the experience of the club, you know, it was very, at least the crowd I seemed to be associated with were very, the men drink oriented. Most of the women didn't drink, you know,
Right.
they just didn't drink.
Yeah, they enjoy the music and
Enjoyed
dance
the music
without-
and dancing. We loved the dancing, you know. And we would go to New York, even down to Manhattan. I don't know how we survived all that either. Somebody had a car, and we'd all crowd into a car, and, you know, stop halfway down to have some drinks and go to Manhattan and dance all night and come home at 2 in the morning.
Oh
you know.
my goodness,
And
the energy.
The energy.
The energy
It was
being
wonderful.
young, right?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful, the music. And it was all around dancing, of course, drinking too. And then we used to go to Far Rockaway, which, as most of you know, is so far out there. And it was beautiful dance halls there. We used to go to Dublin Street in Boston to dances. So, and also, I was telling Maureen about the routine on Sunday. Of course, we all went to Mass, either St. Patrick's or the Cathedral. Or most people seem to live in that
Around
area.
that area.
Around that area, you know, or in the Hartford area, Great Hartford area. So we'd go to Mass. And then up to O'Connor's Bar, which some of you would remember was on Albany Avenue. Some drinks there, then we'd congregate there, and then it was summertime, and to a football game down to Gaelic Park in New York.
Down
But we'd
to
stop. I mean, we wouldn't just go to New York, we'd have to go at the end of the Berlin Turnpike before you get on the Merritt Parkway. There was a bar there. I think it was the first and last, and we'd have to stop there again for the few drinks, you know. And then off to Gaelic Park or one
For the
day-
football.
For the football, yes.
So,
Yeah.
as enrollment grew in the Irish American Home Society, there wasn't much room there. There was nothing for the football, there was no gathering really.
Nothing.
So then they went to Grove Street, I understand.
Yeah, but even before that, that's why we went to Gaelic Park, we went to Boston to games, and also I must mention, we had the Catskills, wonderful Irish area up in the Catskills. Every summer we'd go to the Catskills, you know,
And have the
the dancing and staying over. We stayed in cabins up there, and it just was just a wonderful, wonderful time. I mean, Morris Lynch and Mary from that era, the Moriartys, Foleys, I wish I could remember more names, O'Connors.
Right,
Yes.
And in my generation, I knew the grandchildren.
The grandchildren, yes. When I hear somebody with an Irish name now, I say, is your father such and such? I say, oh, no, that was my grandfather. I say, oh yeah, that's my era. You know? Yeah. But we did,
how
we were very
interesting.
crowded in seemed. But then
Right.
to Grove Street, yeah. But then by that time I was married, I think. I got married in 1957. So around that
time.
they moved to Grove Street, yeah. It was in the back of the Travellers. It was like just a church, I guess, originally.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I heard. It was a Protestant church.
Yeah, a small church, but it was good. It was much better, you know, much wider, much better than the Lyric Hall. And there was a chicken house down at the back. Some of you will remember that too.
Exactly,
You know?
right at the corner.
At the corner where he sold live chickens, an Italian guy sold live chickens. It took years for the Travellers to beat him in court to take his property. So they
Exactly, I remember that.
Yeah.
What a great historian you are.
Oh, I don't know.
Great
I don't know about that.
historian.
Yeah, yeah. So Grove Street, yeah, that's when kind of I wasn't that. But I was involved after that. I always went to the dances. Richard Maloney he was a great dancer, and we loved going to the dancing. And we had great friends. We had wonderful friends, you know. Yeah.
And you have 5 children,
I have 5 children now.
and they took, I mean,
Irish
what has their
dancing.
Irish dancing,
Yes.
so the Irish culture, being around the Irish American Home Society, they enjoyed the culture as well, and
Oh, yeah.
kind of dabbled in dancing and
Yeah.
football and
Yeah, not so much football, mostly the dancing. My kids are very Irish in their ways, most of them. We went to Ireland a lot. I was privileged too. I don't know how, but to be able to go, myself and my 4 kids to begin with. Myself and Maggie, my youngest, I went back in 1960. It was my first time back. And we had to, I was telling Maureen, things are so different now. I came by boat, but then it was progress going home by plane. But we had to stop at Gander Airport in Newfoundland to refuel.
and that was what, a propeller plane?
Propeller plane.
Propeller
It took us 12 hours.
I remember the storms on those propeller planes.
Yes, oh yeah. Yeah, so that was something, so it's amazing. In my lifetime here in the United States, what amazing changes. Never mind the changes in Ireland, because I left Ireland, there was no electricity in my village. And actually, the first time I went back, it was 1960, our area, our parish in Topnaconnell, outside Ballinasloe, had just gotten the electricity in my village.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. The night I went home and it was a storm, so the electricity went out. So,
So you were used to having no electricity, right?
Exactly.
And the open fire.
Open fire, my grandmother, I had a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful grandmother, my father's mother, and she always was around. My mother liked to work out on the farm, you know, and so my grandmother was always there and baked the bread everything was done in the open fire. Everything. Wonderful cooking, you know. The pig's pot, some of you remember that, you know,
the big black pots.
Yeah, black pots. You know, we had, we had horses and cows and Daddy plowed the fields and, you know, we had the thrashing and all that.
Yeah.
Yes. And when I was in Ireland a month ago, down in Kerry at my daughter's house, they had a demonstration of a thrashing. They had the old thrashing machine. It was just out in the field, out in somebody's farm.
Right.
They did the whole thrashing with the.
And what is that? It's the hay?
No, the corn. The corn. You're too young to know all that.
Okay.
Some of the people I'm speaking to maybe would remember the thrashing machine. When the thrashing machine came to the village, you know, to thrash the corn, they did put the sheaves of corn. And when I talk about corn, I'm talking about wheat and oats and barley.
Right.
Yeah. And there was 3 sections to it. They put the sheaves of oats, we'll say, in one section. The straw came out in one place, the shaft from the corn came out the other, and then the pure corn came out at the other end of it. It was an amazing thing, all run by belts and onto a tractor. It was so. I just saw a demonstration of that 1 month ago in Lismore, County Kerry.
Yes,
So-
when she went to visit her daughter, one of her daughters lives in County Kerry.
Yes.
In Dingle.
Yeah.
And her other children are local. Or one is in San Francisco.
Yes. And one in Bristol and Maggie, my daughter, lives here in New London. Yeah.
So Eileen is also related to Celia Golden,
Yeah.
and through marriage.
True.
And she knew Celia and Jim Golden very well.
Oh, yeah.
And so the transformation from Grove Street to Glastonbury was
Yeah.
a little rocky because
Yes.
of transportation, and people were not ready to move out into the country,
Yeah.
as they called it.
Yeah.
But there was great insight from your brother-in-law, Jimmy.
Jimmy Golden, yes, he was very, very good, very progressive, you know, because it seemed outrageous to move Glastonbury. He built his own home out in South Windsor, and that seemed in the boondocks altogether, you know.
Right.
But what an amazing foresight that was. And for Glastonbury, yes, there was a lot of controversy, you know. You know, people like to drink, and they were concerned about being on Route 2, you know, and
Being able to get back.
And
And at that time, some people still didn't have the transportation, but there was
No.
buses now because Route 2 was being built, and
Exactly.
they still found that a little bit.
Yes, out of the way, yeah.
Out of the way.
But, you know, as it went on, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing that happened with that beautiful football field.
Exactly.
Beautiful hall.
Exactly.
Yes.
And your brother-in-law actually did the paperwork for it
He
and
did.
built it
Built it,
with
yes.
a lot of the
Yeah.
volunteers from the Irish American.
Everybody, they had all sorts of trades, and anything the Irish did, I mean, they did it, they could do it themselves. They did it themselves. You know, Jimmy Golden was just one wonderful man. He was also from County Roscommon, by the way, you know. And Celia Golden, you know, that's Richard Maloney's sister.
Right.
You know, yeah, beautiful family. And I'm still very close to Deirdre, and I was very close to Jimmy Golden down, and I visit Sean when I go to Europe. I met him in Barcelona several times, and Kevin we're in contact with, so I'm very close with all that family. You know, so, so it was a big transformation. But my kids grew up very Irish because they visit Ireland a lot, and sometimes they'd go and stay for 6 weeks, you know, in the summer, and some of them went and stayed over there for a while. So they're very involved in the Irish culture. Yeah.
So the Irish culture, the dancing still. Now, how about grandchildren? Do they participate in any dancing? Or?
No, but they're very, very interested in all the Irish thing. I have 9 grandchildren. I have 2 in San Francisco. Well, they're in college now. One is in London and one is in New York. I have 5 in Ireland. You know, Ellen's 5. And her oldest girl just came to Manhattan. She got a job at Irish Tourism in Manhattan. She just graduated from Trinity College in Dublin. She has a beautiful job in Manhattan, yeah. And then 5 in Ireland, and then I got a little grandson, 5 years old, that's 10 years old I should say, he's David's son, he just turned 10. And then I got Maggie's son, Michael. Yeah, yeah, he's very much into the arts and into fashion and into all of that, very much.
So you had an opportunity to visit the Irish American Home Society just last week, you had mentioned to me, Eileen?
Yes.
So you hadn't been there in a while because you lived down in New London.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were great surprised because you met some people that you knew the grandchildren, you knew the grandfather or the grandmother of the people that you met down there.
I know, it was just amazing, it was just, it was wonderful. I walked in there, I said, gee, I don't know anybody, kind of, you know. Then the fellow behind the bar happened to, Pat Sullivan happened to be a great friend of ours, from my son David from kindergarten on. And then I was sitting there with my husband Ray, and this young man came over to me and said, "Oh, Mrs. Maloney." I said, "Yeah, he's Kevin Downing from East Hartford, the Downing family I knew so well. They grew up with my kids, but I knew them long before they had kids. We knew them going to Grove Street, you know."
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that even the grandchildren, so the culture has now being at the Irish American Home Society, meeting the grandchildren of people that you knew from so long ago, and now you're seeing the grandchildren. It's a wonderful tribute to the Irish culture.
It's amazing. And so many times I've come across people in different circumstances, you know, with an Irish name, and I say, "You're from Hartford." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is your mother, I met in O'Connor not too long ago on the highway, you know," and he said his name was Joe O'Connor. And I said, "Gee, is your mother Tommy and Nora O'Connor?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "Are you Rick Maloney's mother?" I said, "Yes."
It's a small world.
It's a small world and very exciting. I just have such a heart for my Irish culture. I just love it. I love going home, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's been a wonderful morning. We have sat and had the tea and conversed, and Eileen has a beautiful home, and she has been such a historian. I have truly enjoyed my morning here, and you know, we look forward to, you know, continuing our Irish culture and enjoying the music and the dance, which we all like. And you know, we wish you well.
Yeah, and thank you, Maureen, and thank you all. I call the young Irish, you know, Irish Americans who keep this going. There's very few of, you know, the people from Ireland that can't come anymore, and they're not interested in coming. Why would they? They have such wonderful life over there, you know. So it's wonderful to see the interest in the Irish Americans, the second and third generations. And very, very grateful to them. I love when I go to the club, when I went the other night and see all those young people whose grandparents I knew, you know. So
Wonderful.
Thank you, Maureen, for keeping.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's been a lovely chat.
Very, very nice.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Hope everybody enjoys it.